Congress and tell them about it. But I can't imagine they'd have any problem with it.
We're going to start with FBI agents busy this morning, arresting nearly a dozen Bay Area officers for crimes ranging from violating suspect civil rights to obstruction of justice.
By the safest country the nation has ever seen under President Trump's leadership here. And that's what we did here today with great resolve on a case of massive public importance.
Paramedics were delivering drugs instead of saving lives. For 4 years, 78 emergency medical technicians across Texas used ambulances as mobile drug warehouses for the Sinaloa cartel. They transported cocaine and fentanyl with lights and sirens blaring while your community trusted them to respond to emergencies. They made fake 911 calls to justify drug deliveries. They hid narcotics in medical equipment compartments alongside oxygen tanks and defibrillators. And they moved $1.1 billion in drugs using vehicles designed to save lives. Who stops an ambulance racing to an emergency? Nobody. That's exactly what the cartel counted on. The DEA just arrested all 78 paramedics and seized 12 ambulance companies in the largest emergency services corruption case in American history. Medical supply shipments filled with fentanyl. And something agents found in those ambulances proves these paramedics weren't just corrupt. They knowingly endangered real patients while serving cartels. Subscribe to Truth America right now because
all right, there you go, boys. So 78 paramedic businesses were hit and attacked and arrested in America. And we're not done yet, folks. We ain't done yet. See, some of them had police escorts, right? So what police departments were working with these cartels within America's borders?
this betrayal will shock you. Here's what happened. Emergency medical services operate on one fundamental principle. When an ambulance races toward an emergency, everyone gets out of the way. Police don't stop ambulances, traffic parts for them, border checkpoints wave them through, and absolutely nobody questions what's inside a vehicle responding to save someone's life. The Sinaloa cartel understood this better than anyone. In 2020, cartel financial strategists identified a perfect smuggling opportunity: private ambulance companies. Unlike hospital-based emergency services, private ambulance companies operate as for-profit businesses, providing non-emergency medical transport, standby medical services at events, and inter-facility patient transfers. They're legitimate businesses, but they're also less regulated than hospital systems and easier to infiltrate. Between 2020 and 2021, the Sinaloa cartel purchased controlling interests in 12 private ambulance companies across Texas through shell companies and Mexican investment firms. The companies operated in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, El Paso, and smaller cities across the state. Combined, they employed 340 paramedics and EMTs and operated 145 ambulances. The 78
Now, this is happening just about in every state in America. Just about every state. It's no wonder the death count is so high. When you thought they would be okay, they were put inside of a ambulance and taken to a hospital. They never made it to the hospital. Are you effing kidding me? They never made it there. They was dead, their bodies taken other places. And this is happening in every state in America.
Paramedics recruited into the conspiracy were offered extraordinary compensation, $60,000 to $120,000 annually on top of their base salaries of $35,000, $45,000. Some paramedics tripled their income. The drugs were hidden in various ways. Some were concealed in medical equipment compartments, spaces designed for oxygen tanks, defibrillators, and medical supplies. Others were disguised as medical supply shipments being transported between facilities. In some cases, drugs were hidden inside actual medical equipment like portable oxygen tanks that had been modified to contain narcotics instead of oxygen. The operation also exploited ambulance companies' legitimate medical supply chains. The 12 companies regularly received shipments of medical equipment, medications, and supplies from distributors. The cartel infiltrated these supply chains, adding drug shipments to legitimate medical deliveries. When Texas health inspectors audited ambulance companies, they saw boxes labeled as gauze, IV supplies, and medications, all appearing normal, all actually containing cocaine and fentanyl. Over 4 years, the network moved an estimated $1.1 billion worth of drugs across Texas and to distribution points throughout the Southwest and beyond. The ambulances made thousands of emergency runs that were actually drug deliveries. And perhaps most disturbingly, some corrupt paramedics transported drugs while also responding to real emergencies, mixing legitimate patient care with cartel operations, endangering both their patients and their mission. The investigation that would destroy the ambulance cartel network began in March 2024 when DEA agents in San Antonio noticed an unusual pattern. Surveillance of a known cartel transfer location documented an ambulance arriving at 2:47 a.m. with lights and sirens off and transferring several large bags to waiting cartel operatives. The ambulance had no patient. The emergency was fake. DEA tracked the ambulance back to Lone Star Medical Transport, a private ambulance company in San Antonio. A records check showed the company was owned by a Delaware LLC registered to an address that didn't exist.
LLC. Well, you know, I'm hearing a lot of these YouTubers on there. I got LLC. Is it? No, I know why you boys been getting away with murder. But we're going to firebomb this whole country, so we're really not worried about it. We are really not worried about it.
That LLC's ownership traced through several shell companies to a Mexican investment firm with known cartel ties. The ambulance company was cartel-owned. DEA contacted FBI and formed a task force to investigate what appeared to be cartel infiltration of emergency medical services. The scope of what they discovered was shocking. Not just one company, but 12 across Texas, all with similar ownership structures, all with connections to Sinaloa financial networks. Drop a comment below. Should paramedics who use ambulances for drug trafficking lose their medical licenses permanently? What's the penalty for corrupting emergency services? And if you're not subscribed to Truth America yet, hit that button. We expose.
Now, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, these paramedics and fire companies and everything are not the only ones involved. Some of these people had police escorts with these ambulances to deliver these drugs and everything. If you're wondering if your family was put in a ambulance and they never made it to the hospital or they died on the way over stupid stuff, you know, this is probably why, folks. You got a problem coming, USA. You got a big problem coming. And I know they've been calling her left and right. Stand down. We can't. There's no way we're standing down. Ever. Standing down to this madness. You guys are watching the Johnny Kramer Music Movie Channel, one of the best movies ever created. Now, let's continue on more. And we know this much. Just about every city, every little town has been corrupted by the cartels and big money. Firebomb them. I know you see that guy driving down the road here in that $3 million Ferrari. Run into it. Take it out. Right? Take it out.
Shows how cartels infiltrate the institutions you trust. In July 2024, DEA obtained federal warrants to search several ambulances. In Unit 47 from Houston Emergency Services, they found a hidden compartment behind a wall panel containing 28 kilograms of cocaine. The compartment was sophisticated, professionally installed, accessible only by removing a panel, and designed to be invisible during routine inspections. In Unit 89 from Dallas Medical Response, agents discovered 34 kilograms of methamphetamine hidden inside modified oxygen tank containers. The tanks looked authentic, but contained drugs instead of medical oxygen. Financial investigations revealed the 78 paramedics involved.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a good chance that if you're on oxygen, some of your oxygen tanks are filled with fentanyl and drugs, cocaine and stuff like that. So You people out there that are on oxygen, you might have had an oxygen bottle that got mixed up with a cartel bottle, and that's probably why you can't breathe. I'm just saying.
Showed income and spending patterns inconsistent with their salaries. Luxury vehicle purchases, expensive homes, and lavish vacations, all on salaries that averaged $40,000 annually. Bank records showed cash deposits and wire transfers from the shell companies that owned the ambulance services. The paramedics were being paid separately from their official salaries to avoid detection. Wiretaps authorized in August 2024 on suspected cartel coordinators captured discussions about ambulance runs, medical deliveries, and emergency transport schedules. One conversation referenced 78 drivers on payroll across Texas. Another discussed a shipment arriving in medical supply containers at Houston facility. The evidence was overwhelming. By October 2024, DEA had identified all 78 corrupt paramedics, documented their involvement through surveillance and financial records, and gathered evidence of $1.1 billion in drug trafficking using ambulance services designed to save lives. November 12, 2024, 5:00 a.m. DEA tactical teams coordinated with FBI, ICE, and local law enforcement across Texas for Operation Code Red, the arrest of 78 paramedics and the seizure of 12 ambulance companies in a simultaneous dawn raid spanning 7 cities. At 5:17 a.m., DEA agents executed arrest warrants. In Houston, FBI raided the headquarters of Houston Emergency Services and arrested 23 paramedics as they reported for morning shifts. The company's fleet of 34 ambulances was impounded. Agents found additional drugs hidden in medical supply warehouses, 340 kilograms of cocaine and methamphetamine stored in boxes labeled as medical equipment. In Dallas, DEA arrested 18 paramedics at Dallas Medical Response. One paramedic, Robert Chen, was actually in an ambulance preparing to respond to what appeared to be a legitimate 911 call when agents arrested him. DEA confirmed the call was real and dispatched a hospital-based ambulance to ensure the patient received care. But Chen's ambulance was searched immediately. Agents found 12 kilograms of fentanyl hidden in equipment compartments. He'd been planning.
And that's why when these people picked up patients, because they had to look somewhat like a real ambulance company, them patients died. Why? Because the thing was filled with fentanyl, and they probably had an allergic reaction and it killed them. So this is going on all over the United States, right? We're just giving you a little taste of what's going on. Now, if I was running the show, Texas would have been Swiss cheese. But I don't run the show. I'm just an advisor. And I still advise to turn the U.S. into cheese. But, not everybody is like me. They're like, well, ain't it a little extreme? I don't know. We'll see this body count in 2026. If we should have turned it into Swiss cheese, or we just let it ride and they're killing our people. And eventually, Elon Musk is right. We're going to run out of people. We won't be able to support a country. We won't be able to sustain a country because we won't have enough people unless we bring other people in from other countries. But yeah, just firebomb everything, attack who cares? Who gives a shit? It's a movie.
Planning to make a drug delivery during or after. San Antonio, agents arrested 15 paramedics
Ashworth.
at Lone Star
Good
Medical
morning.
Transport. The company's owner, Marcus Rodriguez, who'd served as the primary cartel coordinator for the entire 12
Good morning, Ashworth.
company network, was arrested at his $2.8 million home. In Rodriguez's office, DEA found detailed records of drug shipments, payment ledgers for the 78 corrupt paramedics, and communications with Sinaloa operatives coordinating the entire operation. Across Texas, the arrests continued. El Paso, 12 paramedics arrested. Austin, 10 paramedics. Smaller cities, individual paramedics taken into custody at their stations or homes.
Now, Mr. Trump, I'm going to let you know, sir, that we have this problem where the cartels have taken over our government housing and apartment complexes, we will be firebombing them too, sir. I'm really sorry, sir. I'm going to show you how to run a country and how to sustain a country, sir. And first, you have to get rid of the disease. And I'm going to show you how to do that, Mr. Trump. I'm going to show you and Elon how to do this. Now, let's continue with this madness because it's going to get pretty mad.
By 8 a.m., all 78 paramedics and the coordinators who ran the 12 companies were in federal custody. DEA also executed search warrants on the company's medical supply warehouses. In Houston, agents seized 1.2 tons of cocaine and methamphetamine hidden in shipments labeled as medical supplies. In Dallas, 890 kilograms of fentanyl was discovered in containers marked as IV fluids and gauze. Total seizures, 2.8 tons of narcotics that had been transported using vehicles designed to save lives. The 145 ambulances operated by the 12 companies were impounded and searched. Agents found hidden compartments in 56 ambulances, professionally installed modifications designed to conceal drugs. Medical equipment was examined. Some oxygen tanks, defibrillator cases, and supply containers had been modified to carry narcotics instead of medical supplies. November 13, 2024. Attorney General Pamela Bondi held a press conference in Houston alongside DEA Administrator Ann Milgram, FBI Director Christopher Wray, and Texas Department of Public Safety Director Steve McCraw. Yesterday, federal law enforcement dismantled a Sinaloa cartel operation that corrupted emergency medical services across Texas. 78 paramedics, professionals sworn to save lives, used ambulances to transport $1.1 billion in drugs over 4 years. They made fake 911 calls to justify drug deliveries. They hid cocaine in medical equipment compartments, and they betrayed every Texan who trusted them to respond to emergencies.
Fake 911 calls. And we're going to hit the police too with the lawsuits and fire bombs and everything, because the police, people died because people were calling in legit calls. We need help. We need help. And they thought it was, they told their people over radios, which we have all the radio documentation, data and every, don't show up there and the cartel, move that, ambulance would get some. Yeah, we're hip to your shit, Satan. We're hip to your shit, Satan. And a lot of people got hurt because the police failed to listen to the legit people that were calling in asking for help. Right? It just so happens that day they had to transfer a bunch of fentanyl, so they couldn't come help. That's why we loaded up on weapons, chemicals, and stuff, because we have to defend ourselves in Indiana, because even the corruption has gone to the paramedics, to the police, to the mayors. Firebomb it.
We've arrested all 78 paramedics, seized 12 ambulance companies, and confiscated 2.8 tons of narcotics that were being transported in vehicles designed for medical emergencies. The charges were severe: drug trafficking, conspiracy.
We are also going to be tearing apart police cars, because we're also seeing this with fake police cars. Right. I know a lot of people are, well, Mr. Kramer, we called, someone showed up there. It was a white car and everything. It looked like a police car, but something was wrong. Exactly. Right. Was it a white car, tinted windows, nothing on it, just a white car with tinted windows, with some guy that got out of it dressed like a police officer. We're seeing a lot of that. So we're going to be tearing apart all the police cars, because now they're using that for transferring drugs and crazy stuff and everything. This is getting great. I love this. Is going to be a great movie.
using emergency vehicles in commission of crimes, and for coordinators, racketeering. The 78 paramedics faced 45 years in federal prison. Marcus Rodriguez and other coordinators faced life sentences. Texas revoked the medical licenses of all 78 paramedics immediately. They would never work in emergency medical services again. The Texas Department of State Health Services launched investigations into how the 12 companies had passed inspections while operating as cartel fronts. Faced with overwhelming
We are also, Mr. President, going to start tearing apart some of these fire trucks. Why? Well, because they're big. And they have water tanks in them where they fill these fire trucks with water so the trucks can go out. But what we're realizing is it's very well that they replaced that water tank with a tank to hold drugs. So now we got to tear apart all these fire trucks also, Mr. President, and police vehicles, because now we found that you didn't listen to me, did you, when I said it's over. It's over. There's only one thing left to do, and that's massive destruction to the world of the USA, because they've infiltrated everything. They're within the businesses, they're within the hospitals, everything. Cartels have taken over everything. We're going to firebomb everything. Got to.
evidence, 64 of the 78 paramedics accepted plea agreements within 6 months. They received sentences ranging from 20 to 35 years depending on their level of involvement. At sentencing hearings, several expressed remorse, though prosecutors noted that remorse came only after being caught transporting poison in ambulances. 14 defendants, including Rodriguez, went to trial in May 2025. Prosecutors presented surveillance footage of ambulances making drug transfers, GPS data showing route deviations, hidden compartments with drugs, financial records showing $67 million in cartel investment and millions in payoffs, and test paramedics. Expert witnesses testified about the danger. Transporting drugs in ambulances meant that during real emergencies, patients could be exposed to narcotics, equipment could be contaminated, and the fundamental trust in emergency services was destroyed. One emergency medicine physician testified, when paramedics use ambulances to traffic drugs, they don't just commit crimes, they undermine every legitimate paramedic and every patient who needs emergency care. The jury convicted all 14 defendants on all counts. At sentencing in August 2025, Marcus Rodriguez received life in prison without parole. The judge's words were harsh. You purchased ambulance companies, services designed, turned them into drug delivery vehicles. You recruited 78 paramedics and corrupted the emergency medical profession.
No, this is going to be great. 2026 is going to be unbelievable. No, I want all you guys that are working for me for free, because we don't make no money here. I'm a retard and on disability. And, if I have any money, they'll penalize and take everything from me. Every day I get a phone call, right? You don't shut up, we're going to pull your health care. I'm like, I don't even get health care. What do you mean? Blinder than a bat from what you idiots have done. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, we ain't standing down for shit. You understand? This is my movie. My movie, I get justice. Because that's the only way I'm going to get justice, is through one of my movies. Ah, this is going to be great. This is going to be great. Now we're going to start tearing apart everything. Now we know this. They're storing these drugs in a building, a business building, away with this kind of stuff, right? They're storing the drugs close to where they're transporting them. Now we have to go into every police department and we have to make sure that there are no tunnels leading to the police department. We have to make sure there's no tunnels to the fire department. We have to make sure that there is no tunnels to the ambulance companies where they're bringing in these drugs. Now, a lot of people say we've been feeling the ground rumble, Mr. Kramer. Is it an earthquake? It could be their tunneling. It could be their tunneling to businesses. right? And they pop up in a business that nobody would think of. We even got to check the electric companies, because I imagine that's why we're paying so much electric. That's why our electric bill is so high, is because the cartel is within the system. Woven. We got to dismantle everything.
You made fake 911 calls and endangered real patients. You will die in federal prison. The other coordinators received sentences from 40 to 60 years. The remaining paramedics who'd gone to trial received 35 to 45 years each. The 12 ambulance companies were dissolved, and their assets, including 145 ambulances, facilities, and equipment, were seized and sold. Proceeds went to funding legitimate emergency medical services in underserved Texas communities. Texas implemented comprehensive reforms, enhanced background checks for paramedics, random inspections of private ambulance companies, GPS monitoring of all ambulance routes with flags for deviations, and financial audits of companies to detect suspicious ownership. The state also created anonymous reporting systems for emergency medical personnel to report suspected corruption. President Trump addressed Operation Code Red during a speech on cartel enforcement. 78 paramedics in Texas used ambulances to smuggle $1.1 billion in drugs for the Sinaloa cartel. They betrayed their profession, endangered patients, and corrupted emergency services. But we arrested every single one, prosecuted them, and they will spend decades in federal prison. No profession is safe from cartel infiltration, but no corrupt professional is safe from federal prosecution. The investigation revealed the broader threat. Cartels had attempted to infiltrate emergency services in other states. Similar investigations were launched in Arizona, New Mexico, and California, leading to additional arrests. The 78 former paramedics sit in federal prisons across the country, their medical licenses revoked permanently, their careers destroyed, their freedom gone. And every legitimate paramedic in Texas now works under enhanced scrutiny, paying the price for the betrayal of 78 who chose money over the sacred duty to save lives. If you believe Truth America is essential to exposing how cartels corrupt the institutions you trust, then like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. Share this with everyone who depends on emergency services, because you need.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2026. And we must now begin to. Now, they've been asking me, Mr. Kramer, what do we do if we don't have fire departments? We're bringing in fire pumps, which will be placed all over the town. And if there is a fire, that water cannon will sense it and pop up out of the ground and put the fire out. There'll be water cannons all over the place, right? We refuse to stand down to Satan in the United States of America. Get ready, folks. We're letting you know. We've been very brazen coming out and saying we're gonna wipe you out. On this channel and this movie, we're wiping you all out. So that's how we're going to handle that. We will no longer need firemen, because we're going to do what Japan and China did. They put fire cannons in all their towns, where if there's a fire, someone hits the button, the cannon pops up out of the ground and it shoots water all over the whole town. And that's what we're doing, folks. Get ready, because we're moving forward. We're moving forward. We're taking a break, stopping and looking at the past of what these idiots have done, and then we go forward. There you go, folks. One of the greatest movie channels ever in the world. A lot of people have been stealing from me, doing all kinds of stuff, demonic stuff, witchery, sorcery. We're here to end this madness in 2026 in the USA. We can't trust anybody. Firebomb everything, businesses, everything. They've been raping us for I don't know how long. So hunker down, folks. It's going to be a humdinger. If anything happens to me, we go full scale. I picked the right people to take over. and they will go full scale right into a massive eruption and attack. And it's going to get ugly, folks. You don't believe, you would be shocked. You just wait till you see what kind of weaponry we've been working on out here. Everything government contract, everything the government, knows about. And you people been messing with the wrong people, and you mess with my kids. And I don't give a shit if there's 5,000 of you guys, rolling tricycles or whatever. We don't care. We really don't care at this point. We're all in it. This is a poor man's war. We're fighting for the poor man. We're fighting for the working man. We're fighting for the children in the USA. And get ready, folks. That's all I can say. Your pew-pews are going to be useless when you get a hold of what we've been working on. Thank you very much. That's all I can say. Thank you very much. Now, let 2026 start with a bang. We support Mother Green and the ass-kicking machine 100%, and our contracts with the government and everything are being upheld, and we refuse to stand down to anybody right now. And our military is coming, and our police force is coming, folks, for the citizens, and they will fight these little town police departments that are corrupt, and city police and all this. It's going to be one hell of a show. Everyone out there, have your cameras rolling, have your cell phones going. This footage is great. All of it's great. I don't know. You would have to be a buttload of money and a miracle from God and a healing on me and many people for it to stop. But I don't think it's going to be stopping anytime soon, folks. So we're going to continue with our movie here. Now, all this stuff is for entertainment only. Any of you idiots do anything, that's on your own fault, because this is just a movie channel. I'm not doing nothing, not breaking any laws. It's freedom of speech in America. And we're, if anything else, we plead the fifth. And that's how it'll be with us. I don't know what you're talking about. I plead the fifth. Do you want to explain it? I don't even know what you're talking about. I plead the fifth. I have no idea. So we're all in on this thing, especially in Indiana. They're looking at a lot of police officers that they're going to start picking up and taking out that were all connected to the cartels, the ambulance business. Finally, everyone's like, holy shit, Kramer was telling you. I told you, they're a bunch of scallywagon scumbags. Half of them are connected to these clubs, gangs, and everything, and they got a badge on, and they're killing. They even have their own ambulances, right? No, we'll pick them up, and they never made it. Now, we have a couple people that we're going to be hitting in this little town. A lot of people are pissed, but hey, F you. You got a problem, call Mother Green and the ass-kicking machine, and you call the White House. Other than that, stay the fuck away from me. And whoever's using that microwave device here, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But we'll go through every single one of these apartments and drag you out of, so everyone could see you before we beat you with a billy club. So you folks and your witchery and magic and sorcery in the USA, everything is coming to an end, folks. Everything is coming to an end. Your little world that you thought would never end is going to end in a blaze of glory. God bless you all. Get ready for the war of 2026. Amen. You've been watching the Johnny Kramer Music Movie Channel. One of the greatest movies ever created. I want to give my condolences to Mr. Rob Reiner, a great director, great actor, great script writer, and great man. It's horrible what these people have done. You folks have a great day. I'll be back with more content. There's the proof. All the proof we needed to turn it into a ball of lava. And that's what we're going to do. Thank you very much. Now have a great day.